practically standing still now. They've dropped ropes out of the nose of the ship, and has been taken a hold up down on the field by a number of men. The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it. It works in the plane. Wait, get it started. It's fighting, and it's crashing terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring mast, and all the folks between us. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky, and it's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast.
Friedrichshafen, Germany. Home of the Hindenburg building site. Designed by Ludwig Durr for the Luftschiffe Zeppelin Company in 1931, the LZ-129 Hindenburg was made to be the cruise ship of the sky. At an astonishing 803 feet long and 135 feet in diameter, the Hindenburg was, and still is today, the largest airship to ever fly. To make sure the framework of this giant airship would be strong, they used an alloy of aluminum, called duralumin, in a triangular beam form. They then used a cotton gelatin fabric to construct the gas cells and stiffen cotton with a mixture of reflective materials for the outer skin. The interior of the Zeppelin was divided into three main areas: the passenger decks, control car, and crew areas. The passenger decks consisted of a full-service dining room with silk wallpaper and lightweight chairs and tables, a lounge complete with a Bluthner baby grand piano that was removed before the 1937 season, a writing room which was located next to the lounge, 34 passenger cabins which could accommodate for 70 passengers, a smoking room that was separated from the rest of the ship by a double-door airlock, a bar that was located directly outside the smoking room where staff could ensure that no one left the room with lit smoking devices, and large windows that could also be opened during flight.
They had accommodations very similar to the compartment you would find on the auto train going to Florida from Virginia. They had an exquisite German wine list to choose from. They were served exquisite food prepared by German chefs.
The crew area consisted of a radio room that was used to communicate telegraphically and by voice, an electrical room that also had a spotlight that was used to light up the ground and sea, a 46-bunk sleeping quarter, cargo storage compartment, and the kitchen. The final area was the control car, in which they would fly and navigate the Zeppelin using many large flight controls. The Hindenburg was also equipped with 4 high-speed torpedo motors that allowed the Hindenburg to reach a maximum speed of 85 miles per hour.
Otherwise, it seemed so very ordinary that the sensation was the fact that there was no sensation. It just seemed the most natural way to travel across the Atlantic.
By 1936,
construction had finished, and all that the Hindenburg needed was its lifting gas. They sought out helium, as that is what it was originally designed to use. However, the only way of getting helium was to the United States. This was made impossible by the Helium Control Act of 1927, which prohibited the export of helium to foreign nations, therefore leaving hydrogen to be the only plausible option if they planned to get their airship off the ground anytime soon.
On March 4th, 1936, the Hindenburg made its maiden flight over Lake Constance, where the crew were able to test the ship's rudders, turning circle, speed, and sonar system. The flight lasted just over 3 hours and covered 180 kilometers. The exact route was not recorded in the flight plan, but it is believed that they most likely crisscrossed above Lake Constance. After several test flights, the airship finally departed on its first commercial flight. Over the course of 10 days, the Hindenburg made the round trip from Loental to Rio de Janeiro and back, experiencing only a handful of engine troubles that were repaired and subsequently resulted in smooth voyage for later flights. After a successful 1936 season, they kicked off the 1937 season with a commercial round-trip flight from Rio de Janeiro to Frankfurt and back, bringing the Hindenburg just one more commercial flight away from its deadly fate.
Frankfurt, Germany, 1937.
The departure place of the Hindenburg's final voyage. was a routine flight and the first one of the 1937 season to round trip between Europe and North America. May 3rd came around, and the 36 passengers and 61 crew members boarded the airship. Blind to the imminent doom ahead, the Hindenburg departed from Frankfurt and proceeded to Lakehurst, New Jersey, routinely beside some strong headwinds.
May 6, 1937.
Hindenburg's arrival was delayed due to a line of thunderstorms, but at around 7 p.m., it was clear for a final approach into the Naval Air Station.
7:21 p.m. The landing lines were dropped from the nose of the ship and were grabbed by ground handlers. Just 4 minutes later, the Hindenburg burst into flames and came crashing to the ground, all in just a little over half a minute. People jumped out of the Hindenburg and many were almost crushed by the falling fireball. Of the 36 passengers and 61 crew aboard, 13 passengers and 22 crew died, as well as one member of the ground crew. A total of 36 lives lost.
2 seconds later, more or less 2 seconds, we saw this ball of fire. We just turned and ran just as fast as we could.
The exact location of the initial fire and the source of ignition are unknown. There are many theories for what might have gone horribly wrong that day. Some suggest that the Hindenburg was sabotaged with the bomb on board. Others say that a possible gas leakage was ignited by static conditions before landing.
They made several sharp turns which they should not have. During one of those turns, a guy wire on one of the 16 cells holding over 7 million cubic feet of hydrogen broke, causing a small leak of the hydrogen gas.
What made the accident special? Before the Hindenburg, there had been many commercial, government, and private ship accidents, some even more deadly than the Hindenburg itself.
What truly made the Hindenburg accident special was the cameras.
They were running out of funds. Goebbels, the propaganda minister for Adolf Hitler, heard that they needed money. He approached Count von Zeppelin, who was the president of the Zeppelin Company, and offered him a loan, considering that if he accepted the loan, he would have to put the swastikas on to show how powerful Germany was. He initially refused the money, but the German government made him an offer, so to speak, that he couldn't refuse. And then that's why you see the swastikas on the Hindenburg tail.
Germany, having brought a lot of attention to the Hindenburg, their symbol of power, meant that the media would be quick to cover it. Ultimately, the attention and sheer size of the airship made it easy to remember and really killed the airship industry. People were able to see this ginormous symbol of power burn down, and that did not sit so well with the public. To make things worse, airplanes had begun to really advance, and were now able to bring more luxurious and fast travel experiences to those who were using large airships as their preferred way of travel. There was no need to go back to the now perceived to be unsafe airships. Although unfortunate for the Zeppelin Company, the terrible tragedy was for the triumph of the rest of us, and helped prevent further incidents from occurring, allowing us to explore new modes of transportation and contribute to the further development of the air travel industry.